Hi, welcome to Life on the Rock, and tonight our guest is Youth Defence. They are a pro-life group from Ireland. Three of our guests tonight are from Ireland, one's from Michigan. Young adults, 4 young ladies that are fighting the good fight for life, and they have very energetic and innovative ways to fight for the cause of life in Ireland. They'll be sharing their work with us tonight. And Doug, you are back from Phoenix.
I am.
What happened out there? You went out there to run and raise money.
I won the 10K.
You won the whole thing?
I ran it in 13 minutes and 43. No, I'm just kidding. No, I completed it and I didn't collapse.
All right.
No, I did. I got. Thank you very much. I got the 10K. It was great. It's a fantastic event, and and by the grace of God, and the great support of all you out there who donated in my name as a participant.
Win something.
We did, yeah. I won. The Rock House won because of all you great people out there, and thank you so very much. The largest out-of-state donor at $12,394, I think, is what was raised towards the Our Lady of Solitude Monastery in Phoenix. Right. So, but that close to 800, 900, maybe 1,000 people that day. About 500 shadow runners ran from all over the country and outside the country even. It was a great day. The temperature was great, about 55 degrees, 60 degrees when it started. 8 a.m. at Kiwanis Park there in Tempe, middle of Phoenix, and it was just a really, really fun race, a good race. And
did you get a chance to go to the chapel there?
Yeah, we did. My son and I drove out there. My son did a lot of videotaping on this, so we're putting something together. We'll have it by next week. Should have it by next week for the show. But we drove out to where the monastery is going to be, saw the chapel out there. The church is beautiful. Just fantastic. The dedication is beginning of May.
Right, I'm going to go out for that.
Oh, you really? Oh, good for you. So. Yeah, it's beautiful. And it's fantastic. To get there is a pilgrimage in and of itself. I mean, just going through this desert, washed out looking roads. It's on the west
side of the city.
Yes.
And you're on a dirt road for about 6 miles, till you get out there. So
but it was great. And again, thank everybody out there who contributed to help the sisters, ultimately, our Lord, build this great monastery.
Well, good work. Thanks. I know it's not easy. You travel all the time, and there's one more trip in your schedule. So we appreciate you doing that.
And it was really nice to see the age range as well. And we'll show this in the video we do for next week. Is you had as young as 5 years old, I think, out there jogging this thing. 5-year-old running. I think it was the 5K, and as old as 70, and everything in between. They walked, they ran, pushing strollers. It was great. Great event for everybody.
And on a very sad note, we all have been watching the news on Japan and the tragedy that's occurring there now. And we just want to encourage everybody, ask all our viewers, of course, to pray for the people of Japan and for that this disaster might be averted with the nuclear problems, with the nuclear chambers and the reactors and all that stuff. And I thought it's good during Lent we could tie that maybe to our offering and to our penitential practices, right? During this season, we're supposed to be praying more, we're supposed to be almsgiving, and we're supposed to be fasting, and we can unite that with the people of Japan to try to hopefully to work a miracle there, right? A miracle is needed, and we all have a great solidarity, in the human family, certainly with our brothers and sisters there. So just want to ask everybody to pray for the people of Japan.
And one of the key areas, Father, I'm struck by looking at the images of what's going on over there is, ladies and gentlemen, there are entire villages that are gone. I mean, they're just gone. And there are lives that were just washed away. People just washed away. There's a real struggle at a time like this for hope. So as Father just mentioned about offering up our prayers and our sacrifices and our penances for our brothers and sisters of mankind throughout this world, in a case like this, let's not forget there are people lying on floors just trying to stay warm, trying to have food. Just the struggle to not despair, to not lose hope. Hope that there is a God and that there is peace and that there is the grace necessary to endure difficult situations like this. It's not just praying that the nuclear reactor doesn't melt down over there, because that could be even more devastating, not just for Japan, but it's individual lives, individual hearts and souls, that they do not lose hope. Hope, it's critical.
Well, today is St. Patrick's Day, so certainly we ask for his prayers for that situation. Hopefully our guest tonight will share some of their Irish faith with us and tell us a little bit about St. Patrick. And we're going to go out tonight with a video from Celtic Spring. We've had them on a number of times on Life on the Rock, and we went back and grabbed a clip from a previous show. So we're going to go out with them, and we'll be back in a minute after this break with Youth Defence. So don't go away. Do you have a plan?
Welcome back to Life on the Rock. I'm Doug Barry along with Father Mark. And once again, we are your Rock House compadres. And it's more appropriate now to come back from Phoenix. Compadre, I think, Western.
What would be the Irish term for compadre?
I don't know. Irish for compadre.
Cara?
Cara?
Yeah.
Tonight, we are your Irish caras. Well, that made any sense or not. Anyway, this is the best place you could be right now if you're watching this show. So God bless you and thanks for joining us. We have Youth Defense with us. We have Ida, which is a good Spanish name. We have Katie, and we have Rebecca.
Yep.
Ladies, thank you for being on the show.
Thanks
we have
for-
one more of
thanks
your
for
clan, appropriate, Irish clan, will be joining us a little bit later. So well, good to have you here.
Thanks, Doug.
You flew all the way over the big pond just for this event, just for this show, huh?
Yeah, pretty much.
Is that all you're doing here in the States while you're here? Is just Life on the Rock?
Well, we're going to be in Washington tomorrow. We're meeting with a few different people there, Family Research Council,
Okay.
CFAM, and a few friends of ours who are dispersed across the country.
But all of that is down the list of importance.
Of course.
When it compares to being on Life on the Rock.
They're just completely periphery.
Right. Now, I was just talking to Father Mark before the show, and the idea, St. Patrick's Day, March 17th, and God bless St. Patrick, incredible saint. It had a big deal with snakes. He drove snakes out of Ireland. Do you know the story on that?
There's no snakes in
There's
Ireland.
no snakes in Ireland. He drove them out. I'm thinking, can we send him to Washington, D.C.? Just in case there's some snakes in D.C. I don't know, just thought I'd throw that in there as a thought. Okay, Youth Defense. We're going to get into that, what it is and what you do, how long it's been around, but a little bit about yourselves. Rebecca, let's start with you. What is it that brought you to be involved in pro-life work in general?
Well, I'm from a typical Irish Catholic family. There's 7 children, and I grew up very near Knock Shrine in Mayo, and faith was always really very important to me. But
I'm sorry, the Knock Shrine, for
Knock
the viewers or listeners who aren't familiar with that, could you just a moment of background on the Our Lady of Knock?
Basically, it's a Marian shrine where in 1879 Our Lady, St. Joseph and St. John appeared to, I think it was 21 local people, and the Lamb of God also was there, and a host of angels, and it's a major shrine and pilgrimage centre for people from all over the world, really.
Yeah.
So that was pretty influential for me
That's
growing
great.
up. So
I love the Marian apparition sites,
yeah.
Church approved. Go ahead. Okay, so you grew up around this 7. Did you say that's pretty standard, typical Irish Catholic family? 7 kids. I mean, is it that way now all the time, or is that changing?
Oh, there's still big families.
Good.
Ida's one of 9.
You're one of
Katie's
9?
one of 6.
Okay.
So we're doing well.
6 in your family?
Yeah.
What happened? I mean, someone's dropping the ball. I mean,
No, there's a few up in heaven as well. So
no, I'm kidding. My wife and I have 5 kids. I mean, living, and we had 2 miscarriages, so we have 7 total. But and a priest came to me one day and he said 5. I said, yeah. He said, that's a good start. So okay. I wish. I'd love to have 15. I'm sorry. Go ahead, Rebecca. So you come from a good-sized family, decent-sized family.
Yeah, I just grew up like regular teenager, like anyone else. But it wasn't until I was in my 20s when a friend of mine told me that she had an abortion. And being a pro-life person, I didn't really fully understand, the true horror that was abortion until I saw an image of abortion in my local church in Knock. And then I really felt compelled to, do something and to help women like my friend who had gone through that, and to be able to speak out and help them even before they went through with that, because I just really felt that was an important thing for me to do. And then I met somebody who was in Youth Defence, and I went along to one of our street information sessions, and then the pro-life work is very addictive, and I've been doing that ever since.
So it began with a real personal impact of someone close to you.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, and so many people, unfortunately, know somebody. We're all directly or indirectly impacted, it seems, anymore these days. Katie, how about you?
yeah, I got involved recently with the same guy introduced me to Youth Defence as well. I was back in 2007 after Mass. He just invited me to come along, and I met all the wonderful people and got addicted to.
So it started with just an invite.
Yeah, very, very simple.
Which is a good reason why we shouldn't be afraid to invite people to join
Absolutely,
in these types of things.
Get your friends involved, and
Yeah,
great job.
awesome. Okay, and Ida.
I kind of grew up in the pro-life movement, I suppose. My family was always involved in it, down throughout the years. My mother, she fought in about 4 or 5 different referendums at this stage. And it was two of my sisters were actually, they were two of the founding members of Youth Defence. So it's been around for as long as I remember, really.
Your sisters are founding members?
Yeah.
Okay, well, let's go to that then. Tell us a little bit about Youth Defence, where it comes from, how it got started.
Yeah, we had a court case in 1992. It was similar to your Roe v. Wade. It was like the most serious challenge probably that we have ever seen to date to our pro-life laws. And it was, the pro-life community had they were considered to be almost gone, I suppose, you know, by the media and the pro-abortion lobby. They weren't considered to be anything worthwhile, that they were going to have any effect or make any change to this big, huge push for abortion that was going on at the time because of the court case. But there were 7 young people who came together at that time, and they decided that they weren't going to let this happen, basically.
And when you say young people, are we talking teenage,
I'm talking their average
age
age was like 19.
Okay.
Yeah, so you're not talking about, you know, a serious, experienced professional businessmen or anything. You're talking about young people who just had a bit of gumption and decided that they were going to do something about this. And I think that's really inspirational in itself because, I mean, sometimes pro-life work can be a little bit intimidating and you think you're just one, perhaps young, or maybe not so young, individual. And you don't know what effect you can have. But these 7 people just decided that they were going to do something about this. And they got together, and then that year they formed Youth Defence, and that year they organised some of the biggest rallies that Dublin had ever seen at that time. And they fought in the referendum that followed that court case, and they managed to secure a pro-life result from that. And it's been going basically for nearly 20 years since then. And thanks be to God, it's gone from strength to strength.
And so it started with 7. So then how many members or personnel, what are we looking at number-wise of people who were involved in Youth Defence?
Well, I mean, we're based in Dublin, the capital of Ireland, and we have a core there who do like weekly activities, you know, like a real hardcore base, I suppose you'd say, I'd say about 50. But then when we do road shows and rallies and that, then hundreds more come out of the woodwork and thousands and that. So it's really, it's like anything, you know, there's only a certain amount who will keep busy all week, every week, all year round. But when, you know, the conferences or the rallies come along or anything like that, you'll see a lot more people coming out for it.
They come out of the woodwork then. Okay. Katie, what sort of events or what sort of strategy does Youth Defence have? I mean, kind of, how do you go about? I mean, fighting referendums, having rallies and such, but kind of walk us through kind of what the approach is.
Well, Youth Defence, because Ireland is so small, we have to kind of work in all sorts of different aspects. I mean, our main priority is education and getting out there and speaking to as many people on a one-to-one basis. So we think that's very important in keeping Ireland abortion free. But on the other hand, we have lots of other projects, so big media projects, billboards, campaigns, and we try and get everybody involved. Then we have the rally, which is an annual event, and that's huge. It really shows the government and the whole of Ireland and the whole of the world that we are a huge movement and we're not going to let abortion come into Ireland.
How do you all approach one-to-one? What do you encounter when you talk to people? Like what kind of reasons do they use if they're pro-choice, and what do you say to them?
We do a lot of sidewalk counselling outside in Dublin. We have abortion referral clinics, which is where girls will be given information and maybe encouraged to go over to England to have an abortion. So our main project at the moment, we're involved with 40 Days for Life and Lent for Life, which is our campaign. So that's becoming big, and we pray outside the clinics and speak to as many girls as possible. And I mean, the media in Ireland is very biased, and so many people won't hear the pro-life message anywhere else apart from on the streets.
Do you all speak in schools and to young people that before they get to the clinic stage?
Yeah, we have a very successful school project called Just the Facts, and we try and get into as many schools as possible, and we find it very effective. We also have a student kind of body called Ultrasound, and we try and get out and we'd have road shows kind of thing where we bring speakers over to all the campuses and get the word out there. So we think it's so important to get the message to young people.
What would be that message, like in a school situation? What would be the core of the message? I'm trying to get at, like, what kind of convincing argument do you make for people watching the show right now?
In schools, we have a wonderful presentation called Just the Facts. It's cutting edge. It's fantastic. It shows the beauty and the humanity of the unborn child. with some fantastic 4D media, and I mean many children would have never seen it before.
4D.
Yeah, it's fantastic, and we have that. It's a hugely successful project. It's now being used even in America and all over the world in crisis pregnancy agencies. This DVD is shown, so I think it's having a fantastic, tremendous effect.
Okay.
And right now, the support that you have or don't have in the schools, how's that go? Like, you're calling the schools, we want to come in and give a presentation. Are they all up for that? Or do you find a mixed reaction? You get resistance?
Very, very mixed. I mean, unfortunately, we don't have a full-time member to kind of push the Just the Facts project, but we're still getting fantastic response. We have a website out there, and I deal with about 2 requests a week for people for materials and for presentations. So it's, I think it's very good.
And when you say Ireland's not very big, I mean, what are we talking about? Square miles? I mean, yardage? How big is this island? Because it is an island, but I mean, how big is it? What are we talking about?
The population is like 5 million.
5 million?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's like downtown Birmingham, 5 million, isn't it? No?
Or 1 million.
1 million. Oh, okay. All
Ooh,
right.
maybe.
But like, do you have like a yardage of this place? What's the real estate look like?
Not really sure.
I don't know.
Like how many miles across? How many feet?
Oh,
how
it's
many
about,
yards?
is it 200, 300 miles across and maybe 500 down, maybe, I don't know. Yeah, but the population is growing, which is great.
We'll have the geographical team get on this one and get back to you on that point. But I don't mean to put you on the spot. But basically you cover all of Ireland. Your goal is to really fight to preserve Ireland, because right now abortion is not legal.
It's not legal.
Correct?
Yeah.
But there are people out there, forces out there, really trying to turn that around. Yeah. So you're constantly battling this.
Yeah, definitely.
So you can't drop your guard at all. I mean, really, that's what we got to look at, ladies and gentlemen. We just can't drop our guard when it comes to these things, because there are forces out there that want to undermine any place that still preserves life. So we're going to be going to a video now in a couple of seconds. Ida, can you tell us what we're going to see?
This is the conference clip, I assume. This is Viva la Vida. We organise youth conferences.
Okay.
For some reason, we called it Viva la Vida a few years ago and the name stuck. But this year, we're actually hosting it in Madrid during the World Youth Day festivities.
Oh, I heard about
on
that.
the 17th of August, yeah.
That's awesome.
So it's going to be great. We actually have Cardinal Pell. He's going to grace us with his presence. And Lila Rose from Live Action, Father Stan. And we're working with groups all over the world on this. So, you know, we have a great relationship with other kind of youth and activists and not youth groups from all around the world. It's a great synergy when we come together, because everyone bounces off each other. You know, you get motivation and ideas and inspiration from
I know,
each other.
and someone here in the audience is from Survivors, is another organization. We had them on the show. So, all right, let's check out this video, ladies and gentlemen. Viva la Vida.
Easy, let them kill the young dudes in the high boots. Passion is our passion in the moonlight on a joyride.
Her heart has been beating since she was 18 days old. At 8 weeks, she's perfectly formed. She sucks her thumb, and she already has 20 milk teeth buds. In another 2 weeks, she would have had fingernails. She might have grown up to be a doctor, a scientist, a mother, but now nobody will ever know. Have you any conception what abortion is all about?
Okay. We're back, ladies and gentlemen. We have with us now Kate, the Irish transplant. You're from Michigan.
I'm from Michigan, from Brighton, Michigan, and I graduated from Franciscan University.
Don't try to hide it. You're trying to talk.
What?
It's if you don't have an Irish accent.
I don't have an Irish accent.
Before the show, Father and I could pick that up.
Yeah.
She says things that has an Irish accent.
Well, we'll see. We'll see. The show will tell. We'll see if I.
All right, but you're in Ireland now for a year and a half, right?
Yeah, I moved to Ireland in 2009 to pursue a master's degree in political communications. And I had met Youth Defence in 2006. I attended their International Pro-Life and Family Conference with a few other fellow Franciscan students, and then just stayed in touch with them and went back on numerous occasions to work with them. And both my sisters worked with them different summers with their roadshow and other projects. So when I moved over there in 2009, I just stayed in touch and kept working with them on a more regular basis. And when I finished my master's degree, they were looking for someone to be their research director, and I studied political communications, so I always had an interest in political analysis and research and political debate and that kind of stuff. So it just was a perfect opportunity, and I really jumped at it. And especially Youth Defence and their sister organization, the Life Institute, I really think that they're a centre of excellence in research. And I always saw that, and I was very just inspired by their work from the time 5 years ago when I went to their conference. And so I just jumped at the opportunity to work with them, and I've been so blessed to be with them, be a part of their organization, because I've always been involved in the pro-life movement in America, and then being in Ireland is a completely different experience because abortion is illegal, but they still work just as hard or harder than a lot of other groups that I've worked with. So,
see, and I find that just a powerful witness, an example that you're in the throes of the battle right now, where you said earlier that there's a couple of women who have tried to take the country to court, or have taken the country to court, funded by Planned Parenthood. Imagine that, Planned Parenthood, trying to overturn what the country's stance on abortion.
Yeah.
Okay, can you tell us a little bit about that?
Yeah, I don't know if you heard about it. It's known as the ABC case, and the verdict was delivered last December. The funny thing is the verdict, it didn't even happen in an Irish court. It happened in the European Court of Human Rights. And there was 3 women known as A, B and C who basically brought Ireland to court because they felt that their rights were violated because they couldn't access an abortion in Ireland. And their case was actually funded by the Irish branch of Planned Parenthood, which is the IFPA. And the leading lawyer, the head of their legal team, was a woman called Julie Kay. I'm not sure if you're familiar with her. She's like a Planned Parenthood lawyer. At the time, she said that Ireland's ban on abortion was the jewel in the crown of the pro-life movement, which I think was meant as an insult, but I think we'll take it as a compliment. But so anyway, so they funded this, and they brought Ireland to a foreign court. And what they did was they managed to get the court to agree with them, and they deliberately confused legitimate medical treatment, which is available every day in Ireland to pregnant women, with abortion. So, and since that verdict, the whole pro-abortion lobby, including the media, have been really using that verdict, even though it's not binding on us. That's what we really have to remember. The European Court of Human Rights is not binding on us. It's not actually an EU court. It's not connected to the European Union. It's a different body entirely. So their rulings, they cannot actually enforce us to do anything about this. But everybody in the pro-abortion lobby, has been using it as a stepping pad to try and force abortion onto Ireland. So they're really scaremongering people. You know, they're telling people that women are going to die if they don't have access to abortions, which is just a complete fallacy. And I mean, abortion. Ireland itself is an example that this is a complete myth, because Ireland has no abortions. There are no abortions carried out in Ireland. Yet the World Health Organization and the UN has named it the safest place in the world to have a baby. So, I mean, that in itself just dispels the entire myth that abortion is ever necessary to save a woman's life. So because doctors in Ireland are trained to treat a woman if she's pregnant, you know, to give her any treatment that is necessary to her, and they're trained to save both lives involved. Sometimes, obviously, the child may be too early. You know, it just may be too early into the pregnancy, and unfortunately they cannot do that. But they will still do their utmost, and they will treat both of those lives with utmost respect and dignity, which is entirely different from an abortion. So our job now really is, in the aftermath of that case, is to just dispel that myth, which they are trying to do. They're trying to scaremonger people into believing, you know, that we need this. So we kind of have a campaign waiting to be rolled out.
I mean, this is really, I mean, just so clearly, you know, one of those battles between ideas. I mean, the truth, really, and the lies. But it's a battle of mind. I mean, it's the way it's communicated, it's the way it's packaged. It's in America when it was a advertising agency that came up with the term pro-choice as opposed to pro-abortion to try to package it differently. So, I mean, you see it unfolding like that over there. I mean, it's just a matter of getting into the debates and the discussions. Speak to that a little bit, what that's like to be involved in that battle of the words to win hearts.
Yeah, absolutely. We have to kind of keep the issue on the boil. We had our elections recently, and we ran out a very successful campaign. Just kind of asking everybody to speak to their politicians and ask them whether they would maintain Ireland's pro-life laws if they got in. And what was fantastic was to see that everybody was asking the question, and it was kept very much at the forefront of everybody's minds. And the brilliant news is everyone really in Ireland was affected by it, and they were speaking out and asking everybody, kind of came together in this. And we had our main politicians sign pro-life pledges and said that they would enshrine and continue to protect human life.
So are the politicians truly pro-life, or are they pro-life in word? Because, you know, you get those politicians, well, of course I'm pro-life, I really am. But then they don't do anything about it. Or they won't stand up for it. They won't introduce bills and laws and such and so, or to try to push for laws and such. Or do you see that they really do look sincerely pro-life?
Well, they've signed the pledge, so
that's a start. That's good, yeah.
They were thank God, they were very strong on they would keep embryo research out of Ireland, which is great news.
It's another part of the battle.
You all mentioned the road shows a couple of times. What is the road shows?
The roadshow is actually a group of young people that go around for 10 days in the summer, and they set up a table outside of in the city centre and just talk to people about abortion, just passing out leaflets and literature and just talk to people. And we have life boards that show pictures of babies inside the womb, but also show the truth of abortion. And it's just another part of our mission, this multifaceted organization, just to get people to talk about abortion. Because if people are really talking about it and if they're really thinking about it, nobody would be pro-abortion. If they really thought about what abortion is, everybody would be pro-life. So it's just been a huge part of our mission, and we look forward to it. It's a lot of fun. There's people from all over the world. Like, I've come over, even before I was living in Ireland, I came over to do the roadshow on a couple of occasions, and my sisters both did it. So there's Americans, there's people from all over Europe that come to learn from Youth Defence, learn their model, and be a part of the roadshow and other,
What
parts.
would you say, like, to a young person watching now, they're in college, they're at a secular school, they're pro-life, they want to engage their friends. How should they approach their pro-choice friends?
It's a very, very difficult situation, and I can speak from going to Franciscan. I was surrounded by amazing people that were very pro-life and had a great foundation. And then surprisingly, when I went to Ireland, I was in a master's program, and it was completely the opposite. I didn't share the same views as people, and really kind of in some cases got a little bit attacked or got in debates with people. Sometimes it got heated, even with professors. But I think it's important to know what you believe and to stand up for what you believe in, and God always blesses that. I personally, I come from a family that my mother was raised Catholic, and my dad's family was Lutheran, and he ended up converting to Catholicism. But both sides of their family, a lot of my aunts are very pro-abortion, but my uncles are pro-life. But so I kind of have been. It's been a difficult situation sometimes, where I put my views out there and said that I was pro-life and got attacked, but I just know that I'm doing the right thing. And I think if you're really faithful to what God wants and you're actively pursuing His will, He'll always bless it. So,
I think sometimes we get caught in the argument part of it. Like, if we feel this pressure, to win an argument. But I think sometimes it's helpful just to say, I'm going to lay the truth out there and let the Holy Spirit work to convict a heart. Yeah. And it can kind of check the ego at the door. Exactly. And we might lose an argument, a word game or something. But we got the truth out there, and it might plant a seed.
Well, and it's not about winning an argument. Even to us, like just in the pro-life movement, we know that abortion hurts women, and we know that it kills a child. And so just to have that, we want to spread that truth around to people. So when you're convicted like that, it doesn't matter about the argument or about winning. It's just about spreading the truth. And sometimes you never know what little thing you can say to somebody that could really change their heart.
Right.
So.
All right. Now, before we go to the break, we got just a minute here. We came back from the last break with that video. Tell us a bit about that video. Is that what you're talking about when you talk about the 4D program that you put in the schools, or what did we see there?
Well, they use some of the 4D. It's not the program that we use in the schools, but some of the clips would be the same. Yeah, it's part of a campaign called Project Truth. It was actually created 15 years ago. Not the actual video, but the audio, and to coincide with a billboard campaign and national leaflet or information leaflet campaign, that kind of thing. And the billboards went ahead and the leaflet went ahead and all that, and we had this radio ad, which was basically the audio that you heard going along with the video there. And the body that was in charge of broadcasting at the time in Ireland actually banned it because they deemed that it was too political. Yeah, I mean, it's just ridiculous, because all it is basically just describing the timeline of an unborn child.
Discussing, they said that discussing the growth, the progress of growth of a child in the womb was too political.
Too political, yeah. So Youth Defence actually brought them to court at the time. This was back in 1995. And the kind of, I suppose, ironic thing was that because they banned it, it actually garnered far more publicity than the meagre budget that we had at the time probably could have actually achieved. So in a way they might have shot themselves in the foot. But 15 years later, Rebecca, our graphic designer, she'll be back now in a minute, we still had the audio there. We thought it was good, so we thought we should use it. So we had the wonderful, the 4D images, which we use in the schools programme that Katie was talking about. So Rebecca sat down with that and put it to the audio, and that was basically it. And it's up on YouTube now, and it's getting a lot of hits. We haven't really done any promotion with it at all. We hope to do that. So a next project after about 10 more projects which are in the way. And it's getting a great response. We're getting great feedback from it.
Well,
we actually had one wonderful response from a girl who said that she showed it to her friend, and her friend changed her mind. She had an abortion scheduled, and she changed her mind on that. So, it's wonderful to hear these little snippets back that you're making some kind of difference.
Well, things like that are the things that the pro-abortion side fears so much, because it's a revealing of the truth, ladies and gentlemen, and videos like that actually do that. We just got to not be afraid, know where we stand, and get out there and spread that. We're going to run to a break right now. Don't go away. We'll be back in just a few minutes. Arson Nabaha. Did I say that right? Arson Nabaha. Not arson as in start a fire. Arson Nabaha. And this is
Pro-life.
Pro-life, but what language is that?
Gaelic, Irish.
Gaelic. Yeah. Gaelic. Am I saying Gaelic right? With the right accent? My last name is Barry, which in its ancestry used to be O'Barry, because it comes from Ireland.
Never heard of it.
Never heard of Ireland? You never heard of O'Barry? Is that not a name in Ireland?
Yeah.
Has my family been lying to me all these years?
No, Barry's tea, it's still there.
Oh, Barry's tea.
Barry's tea. Yeah.
Barry's tea, there you go. So there's entrepreneurship
Your
in my
legacy
family
is
somewhere.
still there.
My legacy is now in a tea factory. Okay.
Very popular tea factory.
All right. Rebecca's back on the show. We brought you back on here. Good to have you back. Did you miss us up here?
I did.
Okay.
I did. I was sad.
Father had a great question.
Yeah, I wanted to ask you all what like personal skills or gifts do you bring to the movement that you use? I know they mentioned, Rebecca, you're a graphics designer.
That's right, yeah. I just finished my degree in graphic design just nearly 2 years ago now, and then I went to help out Youth Defence with some of the videos that you saw there, and I do some like pamphlets and other promotional kind of materials. Basically, whatever I can do to help, I do, because I was just so glad to be able to have the opportunity to use my talents and, you know, whatever to help out the pro-life movement in Ireland, because it's so important that everyone gets involved in it. There really is, I think, work for everyone to do in the pro-life movement. You know, one person really can make a difference, and I think, you know, the variety of projects and different campaigns and activities that Youth Defence has is testament to that, and that, you know, the girls here, they all have their own different skill set, and we're all needed, really.
What are some of the different skill sets?
I heard you were a nuclear physicist. Is that
Yeah. I design T-shirts on the side.
and you design T-shirts on the side. Nuclear physicist T-shirts, right?
No, well, I studied accountancy.
Okay.
It's not really related to pro-life. It comes in handy for budgets and that kind of thing, I suppose. But I'm the project director now with Youth Defence. So it's just, I suppose I learned most of the skills that I have from working in the office. I've been working there for a good few years now.
So you all work full-time. This is your professional...
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So it's just, I don't know, everything that's involved with project managing, which is really it's a day-by-day process. It can be anything, you know, it can be...
And you're singing? They were telling me you're
That's the only reason I got the job. That's got nothing to do with it. Let's move on.
So we couldn't get you to sing right now, then?
No.
Okay.
Sorry.
She sounds pretty set on that one.
It's a myth.
We won't push that
at
one.
some of the rallies and stuff, do you all have entertainment songs? Like, I know we had Paul McRae on the show one time. I don't know if you're aware of his work, but
Okay.
I guess
we do.
forget it.
Do you know Langeles?
Yes.
Yeah. They played at our last rally.
Okay.
Yeah. They were very
Here
good.
at our festival in World Youth Day, the Viva La Vida, we're going to have lots of different music acts and cultural acts, and we have a few surprises in the pipeline as well. So the theme of the day really is going to be celebrate life, and we want to bring all that kind of thing into it, and maybe Eda'll sing at that.
It is such a joyful thing. I know about the pro-life marches, I know in this country, it's a great spirit of joy, and at the end of like the San Francisco walk we have, there's music and a lot of fun and things, and we get family and kids participating. They're really fun events. So
Yeah, very, very pro-family, pro-life, pro-spiritual life and so forth. How about you, Kate? What do you bring? What are your talents and skills you bring to Youth Defence?
Well, I am the research director for Youth Defence. So I studied, as I said before, I got a master's in political communications. So I always loved political analysis and learn political discourse and that kind of stuff. So I started working for Youth Defence, and one of the first projects that I did was their report called Join the Dots, and it was exposed who was behind the push for embryonic stem cell research in Ireland, what their motives were, and why it should be outlawed. And I've been involved in, there's a new report that we're getting ready to release about euthanasia, and there's some other reports coming up as well. And I also love like social media. I'm really into like Facebook and Twitter. I love Twitter. So we're doing a lot of stuff with that because Youth Defence is very much a multifaceted organization. So we kind of, as much as we're doing campaigns and billboards and everything else, the road shows, we're also using social media to really work past the media bias. And I think this generation, we're so tired of the media bias and not seeing the truth. So we can work through Facebook and use Twitter to get other people involved and get them speaking about pro-life issues through their friends and their family. And even on our Facebook page, we have over 17,000 members. And we see on a daily basis these political debates going on just about abortion or embryonic stem cell research or just anything. People kind of just post their own stories on our wall, and then it just starts this whole spiral of debate. So it's great. It's just amazing.
Wow. Yeah, and social media is huge. It's, I mean, look how it was used in Egypt. The uprising in Egypt. I mean, it was one of the ways that they were actually able to coordinate the things that they did over there. We still wait to see how all that's going to completely unfold. But so, what is the plan for the future? What are your hopes? What is your strategy to continue to fight the fight? I mean, anything particular coming up, or any types of events that you're aiming at, looking to doing?
Well, we are actually, as Ida was speaking about earlier, the importance that we have to explain the difference between legitimate medical treatments and abortion. So we're going to work on a campaign called Women's Voices in the next coming months over the next year, hopefully, if we can do it. And we're going to make some short YouTube clips where women shared their stories, about a treatment that they had in Ireland, which wasn't an abortion. And we want to make it very clear. We want to have medical experts on there as well, explaining to the public the difference between these two things. I think that's very important coming up.
I mean, like our aim, really, we kind of have just campaigns and projects and things going on all the time. But our aim really is just to keep abortion out of Ireland. That's our aim. And it's funny, when we were on our way here today, we were talking to a guy and he was saying, oh, you're from Ireland, a pro-life group, and he was saying, how long has abortion been legal in Ireland? And we said, oh, it's not. And he was saying, well, why do you bother being in a pro-life group? He said, well, that's exactly why, because we want to keep it that way, because we've seen in so many other countries where people maybe just never thought it would happen to them, They thought they were safe, and perhaps they rested on their laurels or whatever, and then bang, it came in, and people just said, how did that happen? And then, like our friends in countries like America, where it's illegal, they said to us so many times, just do not let it come in, because once it's in, it's so hard to get it out.
Well, yeah, and then you start fighting damage control battles,
exactly.
where you're trying to pass, parental consent laws for 12 and 13-year-old girls.
Yeah.
I mean, it is insane that we've reached the point that we have here in America. And I'll never forget an old knight of Columbus who said to me one day, Doug, the reason things are where they're at in America is because when Roe v. Wade was passed in '73, we did not rise up in a voice and scream and shout and fight back. And there was a bit of sleeping going on beforehand because the other side is clever. And is clever in the way they go about manipulating and getting certain things in position.
Yeah, and they're well funded as well.
Oh,
very well funded.
Well, can you talk about that part about the EU? I know you mentioned the court system. What about the economic pressure that the EU would exert?
I'm not sure. Ireland's in the middle of a very bad recession at the moment. And
we wouldn't know what that's like over here. We're in good shape here in America.
Don't know our pain. But there was a very bad deal made with the IMF and the EU bank by our government. So what they basically did was they signed our sovereignty away. But the reason, the effect that might have on abortion is that any kind of law or plan or anything that the government tries to do, they basically have to go to the people in the EU and say, is this okay? So the EU has far more power over us, really, than they did, say, a few years ago. Youth Defence was actually involved in the campaign against the Lisbon Treaty a couple of years ago. The first time it was actually rejected, to the shock of really the entire EU, because it was a given, really, that it was going to be passed. But we studied it, we got legal advice on that, and we realised that it was going to have an effect on abortion, because there were certain charters and stuff attached to the Lisbon Treaty. So we ran a fairly stressful campaign on it, and it was rejected, which was wonderful. The government and the EU decided that this wasn't good. They didn't know it wasn't the answer that they required, so they ran it again. But the significant thing was that they were forced to attach certain guarantees to it the second time around, and one of them guarantees was on abortion. They said that the EU was not going to interfere with Irish laws on abortion. So that was something, it was passed. It would have been absolutely impossible to defeat it the second time, really, just because of the circumstances involved, really. But at least we got them guarantees out of that. And, I suppose how strong they are is really yet to be shown. But, it's better than nothing, I suppose. And it's something that the politicians were forced to come out on television, on radio, on the media constantly and say, no, we promise you, we will not allow them to interfere with this. So it's something else that we can hold them to and say, no, you promise this,
Right. How have all your families taken to the work that you do? I mean, you grew up, you said your mom, battle-hardened and fought in many wars. Referendums and such over the past.
She did, yeah.
So she knows what it's like. So she and your sisters were involved in the founding of Youth Defence. So we understand where your family's at with this. They're all great with what you're doing. Am I right? Okay. And you, how does your family feel that you're adopting an Irish accent?
I think they're going to leave me over there. They're just going to let me stay in Ireland.
But how are they with everything that you're doing, the whole pro-life movement, and the fact that you've made this your life now?
They're so supportive, to be honest. Like, as I said before, some of my outer family hasn't been extremely supportive, but my immediate family, my parents, are just so supportive. So are all of my siblings, just in everything that I'm doing. And I think they thought I was a little bit crazy, some of the stuff that I was doing. I did Crossroads Pro-Life Walk across America, and then traveling over to Ireland to be a part of Youth Defence. They were like, what are you doing? Going all the way to a different country and being involved in the pro-life movement. But they really support me in everything that I do, and I'm so, so blessed. So.
That's good, good. Rebecca, how about you? Everybody okay with you, or do you got any conflict at home?
It's mixed. Yeah, my mum and my sister are very supportive, and the rest of the family are too. They don't really, I think a lot of the time they don't really understand why I put so much effort into it, but and as with anyone who's in the pro-life movement, the guys here in the audience as well, you know, it can be tough, and a lot of the time you can second guess yourself and think, oh, is it worth it really? Is it worth all the struggle and the putting up with the, as you were talking about earlier, the arguments and all the hassle, and you know, but today we went to the abortion clinic in Birmingham, and with the survivors and with the CC for Life and lots of other local people, and I think it really hit home to us, the Irish people, the reality and the true horror of what actually happens in an abortion clinic. And I found it very upsetting. I know Ida did and Katie did as well. Just watching people going in and out, knowing that there was abortions being performed there, it was so upsetting, and it kind of renewed my, I suppose, vigour and enthusiasm to go back home and to continue the fight and to make sure that I do everything in my power to stop it from coming into Ireland, because you know we don't want that in Ireland.
Oh yeah,
in our
keep
country.
that fight up. I tell you, because that is one of the most difficult things, is to stand outside of an abortion mill and see a young girl being driven in by a father or a boyfriend. And you know you're saying things, you're praying, you're trying, and they just walk in the door, and your heart breaks.
Absolutely.
And it happens over and over and over and over. And ladies and gentlemen, we have to pray and do everything we can. It is a battle of hearts and minds, and it's a spiritual battle before anything else. Our prayers, our fasting, our penances, everything to do with this battle. So do not quit. Do not lay your sword down on the battlefield. There's far too much at stake when it comes to this stuff. Well, thank you all very much for being here, and Katie as well. I mean, this is just fantastic, and we'll keep you in our prayers, and just keep up your great work. Awesome, awesome work. Father?
May our Heavenly Father shine His face upon you, and may He give you His peace. May He send His Holy Spirit into your hearts and strengthen you. And may Almighty God bless you, the Father, and the Son, and the Holy Spirit. Amen. We'll see you next week.